This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, October 31st, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Lawmakers appear resigned to the government shutdown leading into next week, with many wondering when it will end. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
President Trump touting a deal with China.
But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good.
I'm Clayton Neville.
President Trump appears to suggest the U.S. will resume testing nuclear weapons.
We have more nuclear weapons than anybody.
I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, it's the final day of October trading. Stocks are coming off a losing day. No trade deal with China. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
What one Florida city is doing to help hurricane victims in Jamaica. An appeals judge says a Border Patrol official does not have to go to court, and it's trick or treat at the White House. All ahead on America in the Morning. The government shutdown will reach into next week, and now tens of millions of Americans are set to see SNAP money they receive from the government end, and for Obamacare premiums to increase. John Stolnis has the latest from Washington.
The effects of the government shutdown are starting to pile up and hit home for millions of Americans. Lawmakers continue finger-pointing over the end of SNAP food assistance benefits, which, absent a miraculous agreement over the weekend to reopen the federal government, ends for 42 million Americans on Saturday. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
Mike Johnson admitted that Republicans are willing to starve hungry children in this country and take away SNAP benefits starting on November 1st so they can pressure Democrats into gutting the health care of the American people.
Senate Democrats have refused to pass the House GOP's continuing resolution from September because they want to negotiate a way around what will be a substantial increase in premiums for millions of Americans who use the Affordable Care Act. Democrats are decrying the Trump administration's refusal to use billions of dollars in contingency money to fund SNAP, as well as the big beautiful bill delivering the most substantial cut to SNAP last summer.
And now Republicans have the nerve to admit before the American people that ripping away SNAP benefits from 16 million children in this country and more than 1 million veterans is a pressure tactic.
1 in 8 Americans use some form of government assistance in order to have enough to eat. Furloughed federal workers have already missed one paycheck and are in line to miss another, including air traffic controllers, some of whom are refusing to work until they're paid. Department of Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy sympathizing with the hardships being faced by the controllers.
A lot of our people can go through the miss of one paycheck, and it's hard for them, but a lot of them can get through it. None of them can get through 2 paychecks. And so, again, if Democrats don't get their act together very quickly, you're going to see huge problems. And again, I would come to them with a clean heart and say, open up the government, and then let's have a conversation.
With the Senate departing for the long weekend, the shutdown will stretch into next week and will likely surpass the 35-day shutdown over Christmas in late 2018, early 2019 as the longest ever. John Stolnis, Washington.
President Trump concluded his trip to Asia after meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, one the president said could not have gone any better. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
President Trump says that he struck a deal with China that follows other deals made during the president's trip to Asia with countries like South Korea, Cambodia, Thailand, and Japan. The president was confident the talks with China's leader would go well before they began.
We're going to have a very successful meeting, I have no doubt. But he's a very tough negotiator. That's not good. We know each other well.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent spoke with Fox News and described what the meeting was like.
The mood in the room was one of great respect, but also between two men who knew each other quite well and knew what they were getting into. It is an opportunity to reset the relationship in terms of mutual respect. President Trump is commanding respect around the world like no other leader.
Interior Secretary Doug Burgum spoke with Fox about the specifics of the deal agreed to by President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
One of the big achievements yesterday was China holding off for a year, putting a delay for a year on implementing their export controls on rare earth minerals.
According to the Trump administration, the total combined tariff rate on Chinese imports has been dropped to 47%. China reportedly agreed to crack down on potential shipments of fentanyl to the U.S. and committed to what President Trump described as tremendous amounts of soybeans. The president says that on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the best, the meeting was a 12. I'm Clayton Neville.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now it's the Buy More, Save More event. Save on beds, bases, pillows, and more. Only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. Trump says the U.S. will begin nuclear testing when America in the Morning returns after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. On this Halloween, let's find out if there's any tricks or treats in weather. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
A strong and strengthening storm over northern New England to start this Halloween will continue on its course into Canada through today and into this evening, and it's going to play some significant tricks for this holiday. For starters, some steady rain continues around the Canadian border from northern New York through Maine, likely lasting the longest on the west side of that storm, where it will wrap around into much of northwestern New York as either all-day rain or numerous showers, with additional showers stretching southward into West Virginia. In addition, the wind picks up in a big way as that storm continues to flourish, with gusts to at least 30 miles per hour across a large area from central New York, Vermont, and New Hampshire, southward through northern and western Virginia into the evening, that may really play havoc with trick-or-treaters. Of course, considering that it is the last day of October, some might say that the real trick will be the warm conditions remaining in place over the southwest today, as high pressure remains a major player in the pattern. Some 90s are in store from interior Southern California into neighboring zones of southwestern Arizona, and even for places like Phoenix that may fall just short of 90 later today. It's been a warm week in that area, with plenty of highs 5 to 8 or more degrees above the historical average, not really feeling very fall-like. An area where fall will be very much in effect is the north, where a storm brings some chilly rain showers from Michigan to Minnesota that even mixed with some snow in parts of the Dakotas. A storm entering the picture in the northwest means a new push of rain for western Washington, with just some clouds around the Four Corners region for today. Around Pumpkin Vine, Wyoming, this Halloween brings some sun and a high of 42. For Ravenswood, West Virginia, expect a mostly cloudy sky today, a persistent breeze through the day, and a high of 54. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. 3/4 of the island of Jamaica is without power, and an urgent search and rescue operations remains underway after Hurricane Melissa roared through the island. Lisa Dwyer reports that in Florida, people are banding together to prepare relief supplies they hope will be flown to Jamaica in the coming days, as Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness describes some of the devastation.
I flew over the south coast of St. Elizabeth into Black River. And from Treasure Beach to this point, we could easily say that between 80 to 90% of roofs have been destroyed. The Black River Hospital, and that has been totally destroyed.
As communities across the northern Caribbean are dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, volunteers at a warehouse in Coconut Creek, Florida, are working to assemble emergency care kits loaded with food, water, and hygiene products for hard-hit Jamaica.
The areas that my family is from were severely damaged.
Susan James Casserly with Food for the Poor.
It's changed the whole landscape.
James Casserly is originally from Jamaica and plans to join relief efforts on the ground there. The storm has left many without homes, power, or communication, and tied records for Atlantic hurricanes making landfall when it hit Jamaica. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
More is being learned after President Trump announced the U.S. would restart nuclear testing. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
President Trump appears to suggest the U.S. will resume testing nuclear weapons for the first time in 3 decades. A global ban on nuclear tests is in place. President Trump says if there were tests, it would be on an equal basis with Russia and China.
They seem to all be nuclear testing. We have more nuclear weapons than anybody. We don't do testing. We've halted it many years ago.
The Kremlin warned if any country resumes nuclear testing, Russia would follow suit.
I'd like to see a denuclearization because we have so many, and Russia has so many. Russia's second and China's third, and China will catch up within 4 or 5 years. I think de-escalation would be they would call it denuclearization, would be a tremendous thing.
There was no indication the U.S. would start detonating warheads. The last detonation was in 1992. I'm Ed Donahue.
Soybeans, TikTok, rare minerals, tariffs, trade deal framework in place. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. An interesting take on mortgage rates, part of business headlines today. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a losing day for stocks. Investors did not get the trade deal with China they were promised. Netflix announced a 10-for-1 stock split late yesterday, making it easier for you to buy a share of stock. Netflix closed at $1,089 a share yesterday. After the split, depending on the price, it would be closer to about $108 a share. Apple shares fell in after-hours trading last night on disappointing iPhone revenues in the quarter. Amazon shares popped up 10% in after-hours trading. It reported better than expected quarterly results. Chipotle shares tanked 17%, food inflation killing the chain. It also blamed student loan repayments that are eating into its customers' wallets. Some investors were disappointed yesterday. President Trump met with China's President Xi. There was no trade deal.
President Trump told reporters on board the return flight on Air Force One that a trade deal with China would be ready to be signed, quote, pretty soon. The highly anticipated meeting began in an ominous note as President Trump's Marine One helicopter was in the air. His social media site lit up with a message announcing that the U.S. will restart nuclear weapons testing, which it hasn't done since 1992 at the end of the Cold War.
CNBC's Eamon Javers, he also says there was no movement on a TikTok deal. The American Enterprise Institute economist Derek Scissors had this take on CNBC.
The meeting itself was a waste of time. The last 9 months of U.S. policy has been a waste of time. It's not going to be a clean outcome. Let's take an incredibly specific example. I think some farmers have recognized I shouldn't be growing soybeans to sell to China. The Chinese aren't going to buy 4 years of heavy volumes of soybeans. Of course they're not. There are American farmers, there are American companies that have made the shift or are making it. There are other companies that are going to get burned.
The Fed cut interest rates Wednesday, but mortgage rates went the other way, up. The Federal Reserve cut overnight bank lending rates. They have nothing to do with mortgage rates, which loosely follow the 10-year Treasury yield.
This actually happened the last time the Fed cut as well, and the reason is pretty simple. The bond market had already priced in a cut, but it did not like the commentary from Fed Chairman Powell. So on Tuesday of this week, the average rate on the 30-year fixed had fallen to 6.1%, the lowest level in over a year. But then after the Fed cut and the news conference, that rate shot up higher. Now we're at 6.33%.
CNBC's Diana Olick. On today's watch list, we get earnings from Chevron and ExxonMobil. World Series Game 6 tonight in Toronto. The Blue Jays could win the championship or the Dodgers could force a Game 7. In theaters this weekend, Netflix's most watched movie ever, K-pop Demon Hunters.
And you were going to say it.
And it's Halloween.
Thank you, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with a check of Friday business. Thursday was Halloween at the White House. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. An appeals court has blocked a ruling requiring a senior Border Patrol official to brief a judge daily on immigration sweeps in Chicago. Correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
On Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis ordered U.S. Customs and Border Patrol Chief Patrol Agent Gregory Bavino to give her daily briefings on immigration operations being conducted in Chicago, an unprecedented bid to impose real-time oversight on the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. But before Bavino's first meeting with Ellis Wednesday, the 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals stepped in and blocked her order. The legal action comes after weeks of confrontations and increasingly aggressive tactics by government agents working Operation Midway Blitz. The Department of Homeland Security called Ellis's order judicial overreach. The sweeps have resulted in more than 1,800 arrests and complaints of excessive force. I'm Ben Thomas.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump hosted star athletes, princesses, dinosaurs, and at least one Trump impersonator at the White House annual Halloween event. Just hours after the president returned from a days-long trip to Asia, Trump and the First Lady, not wearing costumes, greeted kids and spent nearly an hour handing out candy bars to a line of trick-or-treaters, which included the children of foster and adoptive families, military and law enforcement families, and the children of Trump administration staff. The White House was decked out with orange lights and jack-o'-lanterns, and the Trumps walked out to a rendition of Michael Jackson's Thriller to greet the children, the music played by an Air Force band. American presidents have celebrated Halloween at the White House for decades, beginning in 1958, when Mamie Eisenhower, the First Lady, decorated the building for the first time. Happy Halloween. America in the Morning for Friday, October 31st, 2025, is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour, Snap to become the next casualty of the government shutdown and the Senate's move to block President Trump's tariffs.
The Virginia teacher shot by her 6-year-old student testifies in court. I'm Clayton Neville.
The New Jersey governor's race is neck and neck. I'm Bob Brown. I'll have details.
We'll have the latest on the race for Virginia governor and New York City mayor. Plus, a sports stadium is suing a university. We'll tell you why.
5 more people have been arrested in the investigation into the theft of crown jewels from the Louvre Museum. I'm Karen Shamas.
Dictionary.com's word of the year isn't even a word. I'm Ed Donahue.
Back after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. On this, the last day of the month, we turn the page to November. Tomorrow, here's the nation's forecast with AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
For today, the steadiest rain in association with an increasingly potent storm whose center will generally pull from northern New England toward the Maine-Quebec border through today will stay confined to the area from Maine westward, mainly hugging the border with Canada into far northern New York. However, the precipitation does continue to the south of there into much of the rest of New York State and across northern and western Pennsylvania through the high ground of West Virginia, but that looks to be more showery, intermittent precipitation rather than the steadier stuff to the north. The wind will be an increasingly important story as well, with the interaction between that deepening storm and high pressure shifting closer from both the upper Midwest and the Southeast, resulting in gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour from western Virginia through the mid-Atlantic and all but northern New York and New England, but as high as 40 to 50 miles per hour by this afternoon and evening in places like southeastern New England and the Philadelphia and New York metro areas that are rather unlikely to pick up rain today. Both Halloween decorations and any loose costume accessories may be at risk of blowing away during trick-or-treating, certainly something to consider today. For the rest of the nation, most places will enjoy a dry Halloween with fairly calm conditions for at least the southern two-thirds of the nation. The most significant exception looks to be the Pacific Northwest, where a storm brushing on shore brings the latest round of occasional rain along the Washington coast, likely reaching Seattle by the end of the day today. Another storm tracking southeastward across the upper Midwest brings some spotty rain showers to the northern part of the Great Lakes region and much of Minnesota. Rain and, yes, some snow showers look to develop for some of the Dakotas and into the western portion of Minnesota. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Listen on your favorite platform when you search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. As the U.S. House remains on their continued vacation, the Senate adjourned Thursday with no breakthroughs on ending the government shutdown, which today enters day 31. Tomorrow is November 1st, and food assistance will end for millions of Americans, including 1 out of every 8 people in the nation who receive SNAP benefits. A number of states, including Virginia, Louisiana, New Mexico, and Vermont, are planning to use state surpluses to provide food assistance to residents at risk and those losing their SNAP benefits. California, Illinois, Hawaii, North Dakota, Connecticut, and Minnesota are allocating millions of dollars to bolster food banks. Health care is also a major concern across the nation. Correspondent Donna Warder looks at one Illinois family whose health care has been affected by the federal government shutdown.
53-year-old Bill Swick is at his home about an hour's drive from Chicago, getting speech therapy from his wife, Martha. He has a rare degenerative brain disease.
Beep.
Usually his therapy sessions are virtual, but that's not happening with the government shutdown because the Medicare telehealth program has been halted. Martha Swick says it's frustrating because they want to continue with her husband's progress.
I'm not trained as a physical therapist or an occupational therapist or a physical therapist. I'm just doing what I'm able to at home as a wife and a caregiver. But eventually, I'm really going to need those appointments to come back.
I'm at home. I don't work anymore. Can't work. I can't read. I can't do math. I have trouble... what else do I have trouble doing? Walking, balancing.
Their experience has been a common thing in recent weeks, with millions of patients on Medicare fee-for-service plans who count on health care waivers to attend appointments from home. But with Congress unable to agree on a deal to fund the government, health care providers must decide whether to still offer telehealth services and hope to be reimbursed in the future. I'm Donna Warder.
A handful of Republicans joined Democrats in the Senate in passing a resolution to undo President Trump's tariffs against Brazil, and followed that up with another vote to strike down tariffs levied against Canada. Correspondent Lisa Dwyer reports that there are no breaks within the GOP when it comes to President Trump's tariff policies, including Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who spoke to Bloomberg Television, saying his state is being hit particularly hard by tariff impacts.
Most of our conversations at home have been with people affected by tariffs. So the number one issue I get wherever I go in the state is tariffs are killing the family farm, tariffs are killing the bourbon industry, tariff is killing the cargo transport industry. So there's all kinds of talk, but mostly of tariffs.
As Trump touts his trade deal with China, 4 Republican senators joined Senate Democrats in passing a resolution that would undo many of President Donald Trump's tariffs around the globe.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 47. The joint resolution is passed.
The resolution, however, is unlikely to become law. Even if it did pass in the House, Trump would most likely veto it. While the Senate vote is largely symbolic, it is also the latest note of displeasure over Trump's trade tactics, exposing fault lines in the Republican Party as high prices weigh heavily for their constituents. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The elementary school teacher who was shot by a 6-year-old student testified in a civil trial against a school administrator who the teacher said failed to act when told the child had brought a gun to class. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Obvious, I thought I was dying. I thought I had died. I thought I was either on my way to heaven or in heaven.
Everyone in this school was waiting on the cavalry. And the cavalry was Dr. Parker, because that's what the protocols stapled to the back of Miss Zwerner's classroom told her would happen.
First grade teacher Abby Zwerner testified that she thought she was going to die when she was shot in the hand and chest by one of her students at a Newport News, Virginia elementary school back in 2023. Family members testified about how Zwerner has been doing since the shooting.
She had a lot to be excited about, and she doesn't anymore. And so that light has kind of dimmed.
Zwerner filed a $40 million lawsuit against ex-assistant principal Ebony Parker, alleging Parker failed to act when several people approached her with concerns that the boy brought a gun to school. Lawyers for Parker pressed Zwerner on the stand.
Did you remove JT from your classroom as you had done 2 days prior when you took him by the hand and took him out?
No.
Did you remove his backpack from the classroom?
No.
Ms. Werner was asked about another administrator who had left the classroom before the shooting.
And did you say, don't leave, please stay?
She left to tell Dr. Parker that there was a potential of a gun on the student.
But you don't know what she said to Dr. Parker, do you, Ms. Werner?
I knew that she left to tell Dr. Parker what the students had told her.
The civil trial against Parker comes ahead of her criminal trial. She faces 8 counts of felony child neglect. I'm Clayton Neville.
When we return on America in the Morning, new arrests in the Louvre jewelry heist. And move over Wikipedia for Grokpedia when America in the Morning returns after these messages. The election for governor in Virginia has taken some odd turns after the Democrat candidate for attorney general became involved in a texting scandal. Washington Post polling shows Jay Jones tied at 46% with current Virginia attorney general Republican Jason Miyares. The race for lieutenant governor is equally tight, but at the top of the ticket, Democrat Abigail Spanberger is holding a solid 7-point advantage over current Republican Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. The election comes amid a push by the Democrat-led Virginia legislature to consider a redistricting measure for the 2026 congressional elections. New Jersey voters will also be heading to the polls this weekend and on Tuesday to elect a new governor, where the Democrats' one-time insurmountable lead has turned into a neck-and-neck battle. Bob Brown reports on what is propelling a Republican candidate in what's considered a blue state to make a late challenge.
The latest poll from Emerson College, WPIX-TV, and The Hill showing 49% of likely voters supporting Democrat Mikey Sherrill to 48% for Republican Jack Ciattarelli, with 2% undecided. Voters saying jobs, inflation, and taxes are a top issue. If elected, Ciattarelli said he would ban sanctuary cities in New Jersey, which could attract voters who support President Trump. He also said he would cut taxes, while Sherrill says she's not committed at this time on whether she would flat out cut taxes. Appearing on WPIX-TV, former U.S. Senate candidate Alex Zidane says Ciattarelli shouldn't be taken lightly since he came extremely close to beating Governor Phil Murphy in the last election.
The feeling on the ground is different than it was in 2021. The enthusiasm now is bigger.
Sherrill was in northern New Jersey yesterday supporting the multi-billion-dollar Gateway Tunnel project, which is a vital transit connection between New York City and New Jersey for millions of commuters. President Trump has already pulled funding for the project, the move partly seen as a way to get Democrats to concede on issues involving the government shutdown.
I'm going to focus on serving the people of New Jersey. That has always been my North Star, and that is what I'm going to continue to fight to do.
Work on the Gateway Tunnel continues for now because of money which was previously allocated to the project. Bob Brown, New York.
The other election of significance is to lead the nation's largest city, and New York City is likely to be led by a Democrat socialist. An Emerson College WPIX-TV poll released Thursday has Zohran Mamdani with a commanding 25-point advantage over Democrat independent and former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Republican Curtis Sliwa is trailing with 21%. Those who are undecided are leaning toward the 34-year-old Mamdani, who has overwhelming support from young voters and increased his support from Black and Latino voters in the past 2 months. Shifting gears overseas, and more arrests have been made in connection with what's being called the crime of the century, the heist of priceless items from the Louvre Museum in Paris. Correspondent Karen Shamas reports.
5 more people have been arrested in the investigation into the theft of crown jewels from the Louvre Museum, but the treasures remain missing. Crowds of visitors lined up outside the museum in Paris on Thursday as a local prosecutor announced 5 more arrests in the investigation into the dramatic theft of crown jewels. The 5 were detained late on Wednesday night in separate police operations in Paris and surrounding areas. The prosecutor did not release their identities or other details. One is suspected of being part of the 4-person team that robbed the Louvre's Apollo Gallery in broad daylight on the 19th of October, according to the prosecutor. 2 other members of the team were arrested on Sunday and given preliminary charges of criminal conspiracy and theft committed by an organised gang. Both partially admitted their involvement, according to the prosecutor. It took the thieves less than 8 minutes to steal the jewels, valued at $102 million, shocking the world. I'm Karen Shamas.
A world-famous sports stadium that hosted the Olympics is suing a tenant over alleged plans to relocate. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
The city of Pasadena, California, and the Rose Bowl Operating Company have sued UCLA for allegedly trying to move its college football games to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. According to the Los Angeles Times, the suit accuses UCLA of profoundly betraying its trust. By attempting to relocate its home games from the facility the Bruins have called home for 43 years to the home of the NFL's Los Angeles Rams and Los Angeles Chargers, which is closer to campus. UCLA's current lease runs through 2044. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
XAI has been handing out some treats to their fans this week in the form of Grokkopedia, Elon Musk's stab at Wikipedia, calling it an independent alternative to the long-established online knowledge base. Chuck Palm has that in today's Tech Report.
The team at XAI just dropped what they're calling 0.1 of Grokkopedia Monday afternoon, billing it as a truthful and independent alternative to Wikipedia. The very minimalist site kicked off with a bare-bones search bar and a whopping almost 900,000 articles, many suspiciously echoing Wikipedia's greatest hits. But after much ballyhoo, the servers buckled under the traffic within hours, going dark until later Monday evening. Musk posted on X in September and hyped it as a massive improvement and yet another rung on XAI's ladder to decoding the universe itself. Apparently, Musk ordered XAI to push the rollout back 1 week to purge what he called propaganda. Naysayers are calling out what they deem an obvious bias, yet the fans on X seem to love Grokkopedia just the way it stands. What the users think is an obvious treat is only greatly overshadowed by Musk's new Tesla proposed $1 trillion payment package. Find me on X at Chuck Palm.
Friday Sports is in. Here's America in the Morning's Robert Workman.
NFL Week 9 opened up in Miami last night. The Ravens swamped the Dolphins 28-6. Lamar Jackson, back after missing 3 games with a hamstring strain, fired 4 touchdown passes.
It's awesome. Like you said, I just wanted to get out there with my guys. But it's just great to be back, man. Like I said, get a dub.
The Baltimore defense forced 3 Miami turnovers. The World Series could wrap up tonight in Toronto. The Blue Jays lead the Dodgers 3-2. Game 6 at Rogers Center. Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Kevin Gausman on the bump. Game 7 Saturday, if necessary. NBA, the Thunder continued their perfect start, whipping the Wizards 127-108 to improve to 6-0 in defense of their title. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a game-high 31 points. Spurs are 5-0 after a 107-101 win over the Heat. Another full stat line for Victor Wembanyama, 27 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 blocks. Bucks beat the Warriors. Ryan Rollins with a career-best 32 points, topping his previous high set on Tuesday. That is what is known as a positive trend. So much free hockey last night. 6 games went into overtime, 2 ended in a shootout. Lightning zapped the Stars in OT for their 4th win in a row. And the NASCAR Cup Championship is Sunday in Phoenix. William Byron, Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, and Kyle Larson going for the crown. That's Friday Sports.
When we return on America in the Morning, stripped of his royal title and the annual word of the year after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. King Charles III stripped his disgraced brother, Prince Andrew, of his remaining titles and evicted him from his royal residence after weeks of pressure to act over his relationship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. After the king's rare move, which follows years of scandals, he will be known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and not as a prince, and he'll have to vacate his Royal Lodge mansion near Windsor Castle. There's been demand across the UK for the royal family to act over Andrew's friendship with Epstein and renewed sexual abuse allegations against him. Shifting gears, this Halloween, there's a new animated monster movie out for the whole family. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Stitchhead.
If you're looking for a Halloween-adjacent movie you can show to the kids, then throw the switch on Stitchhead.
Castle Grotesque. They say there's monsters in there.
Stitchhead tells the story of a group of creatures brought to life by a mad scientist in a castle. When the original creation, known as Stitchhead, visits the nearby town, he gets swept up in the glamours of fame as a sideshow attraction.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to be terrified.
Based on the children's book by Guy Bass, Stitchhead tells a sweet story with a foundation of noble themes we find throughout children's literature. Be kind to one another, help others out, and don't get greedy.
Is life boring? I'll make you famous like you never believe.
As a modestly budgeted film, the animation is a little rudimentary, but it's nicely stylized. And the voice cast from the UK, featuring Asa Butterfield, Rob Brydon, and Fern Brady, carry the show.
Don't you miss the other monsters?
I should never have left the castle.
It has some slower moments and awkward pacing in the second act, but it comes through in the end with a good message and an energetic climax.
The time has come to form an angry mob.
It's a nice dose of gateway horror that won't keep the kids up at night.
It's monster time.
Stitchhead gets 3 bolts of lightning out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
Dictionary.com is out with their annual Word of the Year, but that word has left a lot of people scratching their heads as it's not even a word at all. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports on a trending term that has different meanings to different people.
Dictionary.com's Word of the Year isn't even a word. It's more of a viral term. Saying it usually involves juggling your hands in the air.
6, 7.
Kids and teenagers can't stop repeating it and laughing about it. Parents and teachers can't make any sense of it. 6-7 exploded in popularity over the summer and was driven by social media. Dictionary.com says its annual selection is a linguistic time capsule reflecting social trends and events. The site admits it too is a bit confused by
6-7.
Merriam-Webster calls it a nonsensical expression used especially by teens and tweens. I'm Ed Donahue.
And that's our show for this Friday, October 31st, Halloween. America in the Morning is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.